What people actually are not looking for is information. They're looking for insight. Because here's the thing, your clients likely have already gotten information and they've tried to implement that information and they're not getting results. My mind is blown. Like, what I learned in here is like way crazy, right? It's way better than even your content, and your free content is pretty good. So how do I do that? How do I walk that line? I'm gonna tell you all about it right now. Hey, Courtney Sanders here. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, I'm a full-time life and business coach, as well as wife and mom. Truly wear all the hats and do all the things. I can't even promise that my kids won't be screaming in the background on these videos. I've been recording all day. They're restless, so I just want to warn you. But I go through all of this because I'm super passionate about helping you turn your success story into a 6 or even 7-figure brand. And in the course of me doing this and coaching literally dozens and dozens, hundreds and hundreds even thousands of clients when I count everyone who has gone through my programs, one of the top questions that I get asked a lot is, how do you give value on social media without giving too much away for free? And this is a really good question because as a coach, as a consultant, as an expert, someone who essentially sells your expertise online, your wisdom is your wealth, right? Your wisdom is something that you have worked hard over the years. It's your life experiences. That's worth money, right? And so on many respects, it's like, yeah, I want to give people a taste and show them that I know what I'm talking about, but how can I do it in a way where I'm not giving everything away for free, where I am not, giving, all the good stuff, and people ultimately won't want to join whatever, my coaching program, my course, or whatever it is that you're selling. So if that's ever a question that you've had and you're like really nervous about this and you're like, can somebody just tell me, how do I give value without giving too much away? You're in luck, because not only am I gonna talk about this in this video, but this is something that I am intimately familiar with because I produce so much content, right? I'm producing videos on YouTube almost every day. I'm producing at least 1 or 2 pieces of content on Instagram. I have podcasts that go out once a week. So your girl is talking a lot, right? I need a glass of water. I'm always talking, I'm always sharing my wisdom, yet people are still joining my coaching programs and they're like, my mind is blown. Like, what I learned in here is like way crazy, right? It's way better than even your content, and your free content is pretty good. So how do I do that? How do I walk that line? I'm gonna tell you all about it right now. All right, the number one way that I keep myself from quote unquote giving too much value away in my free content on social media is I focus on sharing insight, not information. So when we talk about sharing information, that's just facts. And you have to understand that facts aren't valuable in and of themselves, and facts don't set you apart. Everyone in your industry has a particular set of facts, right? If I go into the wellness and health industry, everyone has a certain amount of facts that they're probably sharing around, I don't know, how many times a day you should be eating, or macros, calories in, calories out. Should you eat vegan? Should you do intermittent fasting? Like, I don't know. I'm not a health and wellness coach, but even I know that there's a certain set of like talking points, a certain set of information that most people who are in this industry would be familiar with. If that's all you're sharing, then you have a bigger problem, and it's going to be difficult to attract clients because your clients are already familiar with that information. What people actually are not looking for is information. They're looking for insight. And by insight, I mean they're looking for a deeper understanding, and they're looking for someone who demonstrates that they have a deeper understanding, almost an intuitive understanding of whatever the subject matter is. Because here's the thing, your clients likely have already gotten information and they've tried to implement that information and they're not getting results. And they don't know why, because they're like, I don't know, all these health coaches are saying I need to do intermittent fasting, and I'm doing intermittent fasting and nothing's happened. Nothing's happening, right? I'm not hitting my health goals. So understand that your people have the information. What they don't have is the insight. They don't know what to do with that information. What's the deeper understanding they're lacking of that information that is ultimately going to take them to the next level. So on your social media, if you're worried about giving too much value away, but all you're focusing on is facts anyway, understand that that's not even the real value. The real value is your insight. You want to create content that demonstrates to your audience that you have a deeper understanding of the subject matter. And the beauty of sharing insight over information information and how it prevents you from ultimately giving too much away is that there's only so much insight you can give, and people, when they see it and they hear it, they're like, oh, this person knows what they're talking about. This person, I can already tell just by how she answered that question, she has a deeper understanding and she is who I'm looking for. And so you want to give these nuggets of insight, because when people see them, they're jumping off your Instagram and they're immediately going to DM you to see how they can work together, or they want to jump in your course or your program or something else. So oftentimes when people ask that question, how do I, give value and not give away too much for free? They're thinking from the fact standpoint. You can give insight all day, right? Because insight comes from your perspective, your understanding, your experience. So focus on giving insight over information, and you'll find that, you're not giving tactics and strategies or anything away, but you are giving away content that ultimately your clients or your potential clients are going to be attracted to, and is going to make them want to work with you. All right, the second way that you can share value on social media without giving too much away for free is to teach what is obvious to you. Doesn't that sound crazy? But here's the thing you have to understand. You are the expert. You are the practitioner. You are the person that is in this work, in this field, day in and day out. Just by definition of you doing what you do and being in your industry, you have a level of understanding that other people who are not in your industry do not have. So there are things that would be highly valuable to your audience that you don't even bother talking about, because you're like, oh, everybody knows that, not realizing that everyone doesn't know that. So if you're worried about giving too much value away for free, you're probably not giving enough value, because you're trying to give away all these like high level concepts that you really should reserve and should be teaching for your coaching program, when in actuality, the people who are sitting on your Instagram, your YouTube, who are listening to your podcast, they need like clear information, right? They need definitions. Like you keep talking about, and I say this for me, building a brand or, nailing your niche. And they're like, what's a niche, right? Like I could do a whole podcast on just defining, what a niche is and what a niche is not. Or I could do a whole video on what a brand is and what a brand is not. So whatever seems obvious to you, I promise you, there are people in your audience who are begging, waiting for someone to break that down and to teach it more clearly. And so teach what seems obvious to you, and then you will have no problem giving value without worrying about giving too much away for free. All right, the third way that you can share value without giving too much away for free is to break that content down into bite-sized pieces. And I find that this goes really well with the first strategy that I shared, which was share what seems obvious to you, right? Just because it's obvious to you doesn't mean it's obvious to your audience. A lot of obvious things are super highly valuable to your audience, right? In fact, I did a whole video about how I batch create content so that I have a lot of content going out, even though I'm a busy wife and mom and I'm running a business and I have clients and I do all these things. If I'm honest, I almost didn't do that video because I was like, dude, this is so obvious. Like, people can clearly see that I am batch creating this content. They know I am not hitting the record button on the camera every single day, right? Don't they? Not obvious, right? A lot of people really enjoyed that video and they were like, wow, this is really helpful. I wasn't sure how to go about batch creating content. I wasn't sure how to repurpose it for other platforms. Seemed completely obvious to me, but it was not obvious to my audience. So once you understand what is obvious to your audience, you want to break it down into bite-sized pieces. Oftentimes we forget that social media is not designed necessarily for, these long drawn out, volumes of information. You want to break it down into like quick hits, right? People are on social media. You're not the only person that they're consuming content from. They're seeing your post on Instagram. They're watching your TikToks and somebody else's TikToks. They're watching your video on YouTube, and then they're jumping off and going to somebody else's video. So you have to understand the speed at which people they're going here, they're tasting this, they're touching that, et cetera, et cetera. And so you are concerned about giving too much value away for free because you're trying to like teach a whole lesson in a social media post, not realizing that that's not what social media is even designed for. So whatever it was that you were trying to teach, that you're like, oh, this is so much, and I teach this in my program, and am I giving away too much? Break it down and ask yourself, what does someone need to know before I could even teach that concept? Or how can I break this down into parts where they understand what it is that I'm saying? When you break it down into bite-sized pieces, not only are you obviously not giving away too much for free because you're not giving the whole thing, you're just giving a little piece, but people will actually thank you for it, and you'll find that your engagement will actually go up on social media because now you're giving people digestible bits of information that they can actually consume in the way they're consuming it, because again, they're moving quickly, they're checking in on your content and somebody everybody else is. Now they got something that was quick, they consumed it, they got it, and then they're coming back to your profile the next day, and that drives your engagement up. So make sure that you are breaking your content down into bite-sized, digestible bits on social media. I have more where that came from, but first I want to hear from you. Where do you love sharing content on social media? What's your favorite platform? Share in the comments below. All right, the fourth way that I make sure that I give value without giving away too much for free is I love to share my journey. This is so important, and no one does this. Everyone is so focused on positioning themselves as the expert and, showing that they know what they're talking about, that they forget to show that they are still on the journey, and they forget to document where they've come from. And so one thing that I think has been really great about my brand and why so many people resonate with it is because I've been documenting my journey from the very beginning. Literally, you can go on this here YouTube channel and scroll the videos that are like 13 years old, 14 years old, and you will see videos when I was 19, 20 years old doing hair care tutorials, because that was my first foray into entrepreneurship. I had built a hair care brand, and so that was the type of content that I was creating. And so I then transitioned into coaching and personal development and life coaching, and then transitioned into business coaching. And so my audience, who's been with me from the very beginning, and I have people who literally have been subscribed to me since I was in college, like doing hair care videos, which is kind of crazy. My people have been watching my journey, and guess what? That is content. Your journey, where are you now? And also, that's valuable because people want to see where you go next because they're trying to get to the same destination. And so I do this a lot, especially on my podcast, where I talk about where I am now and what I'm actually working on. So a lot of people tune in because they want to know all sorts of things. How am I handling education for my kids, right? My son is getting to school age. What are we gonna do about education? Am I saving for his college fund? How are we still focusing on building wealth? How are we managing our money? How am I managing our marriage with my business and all this stuff that's going on? People wanna know the behind the scenes of how you're actually managing your life. And so when you document that journey on a consistent basis, it's a 2-for-1 because it's content, but it's also inspiration, and people are like, oh wow, I didn't know that you could do things in that way. One thing that I get a lot of great feedback on is I share how I have a meal prep chef, right? And I share that journey on how I got to that. I shared how when I was first growing my business and I was working a 9-to-5 job, I hired a housekeeper who came every 2 weeks, and I was very adamant about that. And then I was able to move her up where she came weekly. And then I was able to put my, son in a little after school, well, he wasn't going to school at the time, but a nearby daycare. And then from there, I was able to hire a nanny to come a few days a week. And then I was able to get a nanny to work, full time. And then I was able to get a nanny who could travel with me. And then I was able to find a meal prep chef who could do, these meals on a weekly basis. So even other moms who are building businesses, they love seeing me document this journey of how I've been able to really scale up. I call it my home team, right? My domestic support staff, my home team who helps me run this business. That's content, right? What does me showing meal prep Mondays have to do with anything? Again, it's providing inspiration, and also it's providing permission to people who want to follow in the same journey that I'm following in. So if you're worried that you're giving away too much value for free, my question to you is, are you doing enough documenting? Where are you on your journey? We want to see it. Share it with your audience. All right, the fifth thing that I do that keeps me from giving away too much content for free on social media is that I don't worry about it. I know, this sounds crazy, right? Literally, I don't worry about it. When I think about these videos, I think about, okay, what is the topic that I want to talk about? What are the points that I want to hit? And I just share. I just hit record. And the reason I don't ever worry about giving too much away or like, oh, I shouldn't talk about that because, I cover this in my program in detail. Like, the reason I don't worry about that is because you have to understand that the platform itself is going to restrict how much you can give away. All of my videos, for the most part, are between 10 and 15 minutes. If it were even possible for me to give away my entire strategy in a 10 to 15 minute video, just being honest, I don't need to be selling a coaching program, right? My coaching program is so in-depth and it's so detailed that I couldn't give away the whole thing for free even if I wanted to. And this is what people need to understand. If you have a true mastery of what you talk about and a deep understanding of your expertise, there is no way that a 15-second TikTok or a 10-second Instagram reel or even a 300-word, Facebook caption or a 10-minute video on YouTube, there's no way that you could sum up everything that you know and that you share in your paid programs, it literally will not fit into the platform. So all this worrying about giving too much away for free, don't even worry about it, because the platform does not have the capacity to contain all the information that you have to share. But another thing you have to understand is what the true value of coaching programs are. So in addition to the actual information, there is the accountability that comes with coaching, but also there's the order and the context of the information. Sure, I create a lot of videos and I talk about a lot of different things, but just because I mention something in a video that I also talk about in detail in my coaching program doesn't mean that the people who are watching that video understand the full context of it, right? They don't know where to fit that in their business. They don't know the order in which that comes, if they should do that first or they should do something else first, right? All of my content, I just kind of create randomly. It's not any particular order. It's just based on questions that people are asking me or how I feel inspired at the time. My coaching program is strategically ordered and designed to get people a result. So not only am I going in depth in information in a way that I don't go on YouTube or on my podcast or whatever, there's an order and a context that provides ultimate clarity to my clients that simply is not even possible to provide on social media given the nature of social media. So really, we just got to put this worry to rest, because if you're really good at what you do and you really know your stuff, it's going to be impossible to give too much away. So don't even worry about it. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, you're going to love my Nail Your Niche challenge. This is a free 5-day challenge where I walk you through the steps on how to nail your niche. And nailing your niche is really important because it helps you narrow in on the content that you should be creating. So part of the reason people feel like they're giving too much away for free is because they don't even know what content they should be talking about on a consistent basis on social media, because they don't know their niche. So you'll definitely want to join this 5-day challenge. Like I said, it's free as of this time of this recording, but I can't promise that it's going to be free forever. And in fact, we do limit the amount of spots and the amount of people who register, because we have an option where you can upgrade and get direct coaching from me after each of the 5 days. So we want to make sure that everyone who signs up has a really great experience. So if you click the link below and you see that there are spots available, make sure that you register. If you click the link below and you see that there aren't spots available, it will redirect you to a wait page. And so you'll want to make sure that you join the wait list so that you can be notified the next time that we do the challenge. All right, thanks so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you did. And if you can't wait until my next video, make sure that you are subscribed to my podcast, The Courtney Sanders Show. And if you can't wait for my next podcast or my next video, make sure that you are following me on Instagram, CourtneyLSanders. And with that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.